Supreme Chancellor Obi-Wan Kenobi by Stone Freak. Chapter 72. Bant visits Obi-Wan. When Bant steps into Obi-Wan's room in the halls, it's like a balm to his nerves. She's one of his oldest friends, and her familiar presence is so very soothing. He really has missed her. They see each other far too rarely these days, what with the war. Obi-Wan! Her face breaks into a large smile. Oh, it's so good to see you awake. We've all been so worried about you. Seeing those images on the holonet? Her face falls, and she takes a seat next to his bed. It was horrible. Please never do that to me again. Obi-Wan gives her a weak smile. I promise to try my very best to keep my next near-death experience from being publicized on the holonet. Your sense of humor is terrible. She pushes him gently, but a smile returns to her face. She really does look her best when she smiles, and it always seems to lighten up the entire room around her. How have you been? Besides worried, I mean. She worries the hem of her robes slightly before she looks up at him again. Busy. Wartime is difficult. Her big eyes are sad. Obi-Wan feels a lump in his throat. He nods his head, unable to force any words out of his mouth. He wishes he were stronger, that he could comfort her, but he can't. It's moments like these he misses Master Qui-Gon the most, he thinks. He was always so good at seeming calm and certain, a large, unmovable mountain in the midst of all the chaos. Garen's been stressed. The investigation isn't going well, I think. Band looks away and sighs. You can't talk to me about it, obviously, but I know him well enough to be able to tell. Obi-Wan takes her hand in his. If anyone can do it, it's Garen. He's one of our best investigators, and you know it, Bant. Besides, I'm sure the Council is making sure he gets as much support as he needs. Bant smiles weakly. I have heard rumors that Voss is back on Coruscant. I'm sure the Council will have him use his tracking to find some clues or help Garen put things together and find the culprit. She looks cheered by the idea, so Obi-Wan refrains from rolling his eyes. Right, Voss. At least Voss's crazy ways are unlikely to make an impression on Garen. After all, Garen has his own brand of crazy, and since he has it before now, he's unlikely to change it up, even if he always did think Voss was cool when they were younger. Force. It seems so long ago. Bant laughs and slaps Obi-Wan's shoulder. You love Quinlan, just admit it. He's your friend and you like him. I'm onto you, Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan only laughs. It was nice to see Obi-Wan smile and roll his eyes at the friends, Bant thinks. He looks frail in a way that she's not used to. This near-death experience was much closer than any other he's ever had, she thinks. But he is at least awake and aware. Alive. She had almost been certain that she'd lose him, that she'd never speak to her best friend ever again. She meditated on it a lot during the weeks he was unconscious and the healers couldn't say for certain what his fate would be. She meditated, she consulted the Force, but she never reached a conclusion. She never did manage to make peace with the fact that she may lose him. It's a weakness of hers, she thinks, and the knowledge of this weakness is a gift she will take with her as she continues on her path as a Jedi. Obi-Wan is the only master among their group, but he's also the only one of them who has taken and trained a Padawan. The rest of them have concentrated on other things, focused on other paths within the Order, and she knows that they have not yet shown the sort of understanding of the Force that Obi-Wan has, nor have they found their way among the Jedi quite as clearly. Not that Obi-Wan never doubts or reconsiders. To do so would be to reject change, and that is an anathema for Jedi. Change is inevitable, and though it may sometimes be bitter, it must always be accepted, even when it cannot be embraced. Bant knows now that her own greatest struggle is letting go of the past, letting go of those she loves. Reeft, she knows, struggles with change in general. He likes structure and predictability. He likes it best when everything is as it's always been. The war hit him so hard he had to leave the front lines, incapable of doing his duty properly out there, and has instead taken up teaching in the cache. Garen is slightly too reckless, too excitable, too eager for an adventure. He forgets to consider all the angles, which is ironic considering what an excellent investigator he is. Band has never been able to understand how he can have such a split personality. When working a case, he's meticulous and misses nothing, but when his mission isn't in detail-oriented investigation, he loses track of details and forgets himself. She supposes he'll learn to temper himself, learn to bring some of his considerable focus into other aspects of himself as well. It's not that Obi-Wan doesn't have any faults, certainly not. No person is without fault. But Obi-Wan has learned to temper his. He accepts them and understands them in a way that Banta admires. Though she must admit that she sometimes misses the firebrand of an initiate he once was, always leaping to her defense even against opponents more than twice his size. The first time she heard some older initiates whisper about how Master Kenobi was the perfect Jedi and must have been exemplary throughout his entire path in the Order, she nearly split her side, laughing so hard. The path that is always smooth will not teach you nearly as much as the one twisting with turns and uneven with rocks. Obi-Wan was forced to mature faster than she would have liked. Responsibility fell on him far faster than it should have. But as always, he's carried the weight of the galaxy on his shoulders without complaint. Well, without much complaint, anyway. Well, they have time left. Once the war is over, they'll have time to be young still. Despite the fact that Obi-Wan is a master. They have time.